1:00 here Central Time, so we'll get started. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to AGWS F&I Insights once again for our 2021 webinar series. Today, we're also broadcasting from the AFIP headquarters there in Texas. We have AFIP's David Robertson, MBA, and AGWS's Bob Harkins discussing our 2021 F&I Profitability Focus. We'll also cover navigating politics, emerging challenges, and continuing attacks into regulatory success. And then we'll also discuss how to focus on, commit to, and assess your 2021 profit opportunity. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bob and David.
Thank you very much, John Friedland. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to F&I Insights. Dave, can you believe it? 2021, year 3 of doing these things.
Well, look at it this way, we're getting off to kind of a rocky start.
A rocky start.
Political.
Technology is technology, and political is political. Anyhow, our 3rd year for F&I Insights, we just want to thank the numbers of people, the hundreds that have joined us during these sessions, starting out with really quarterly workshops in 2019. That was per your request. And then last year, 2020, we, per your request, did one workshop every month. So 12 and 4 is 16. And this year, we've got 12 scheduled as well. So this is the workshop number 17 in the program, as John Friedland mentioned. We're coming to you from AFIP headquarters in beautiful Colleyville, Texas. As you notice, it's sweater weather down here. We had snow actually a couple nights before, but it melts as soon as it hits as it hits the ground. As always, we're here to help you, our agent partners, our dealer clients, to maximize deal profit, meaning both front-end growth and finance and insurance income, but to do it the right way. And the right way, of course, is in a manner that's consistent with good customer relations and sound business practices. This is the 9th opportunity we've had to have Executive Director and President of AFIP, Dave Robertson, to be a part of these workshops. We're very pleased, we're very blessed to be able to use AFIP and have their team to be a part of this going forward now for this year, 2021, with other requests that we have and everybody's schedule, whatever, we're going to have still the ability to use the facility and be involved with AFIP at least once a quarter. So we're very positive about that and looking forward to it. John, can we go back to the F&I Insight slide, or we'll go to the slide, next slide?
Yep.
Next slide. There we go. As John mentioned, your 2021 F&I Profitability Focus. I want to talk about that for just a minute. Go back to the previous one. Okay, your 2021 F&I Profitability Focus. You know, Dave, I want to speak to that with respect to new car and light truck sales. Those of us that have been in the business for some time, especially the past 5 years, and we've been in it a lot longer than that, but from 2015 through 2019, we had 5 consecutive years of 17 plus million new car and light truck sales, with 2016 being the best year ever, and that was 17.5 million new car and light truck sales. Going into last year, 2020, the forecast going into the year before COVID was 16.6 to 16.8 million new car and light truck sales. When COVID began to hit at the end of the first quarter and start of the second quarter, whatever, NADIA and other agencies, groups began to reduce that down to new car and light truck sales to like 13.2, 13.5. I think the highest we saw was maybe 13.6 new cars and light trucks. But as most of us know in the business, we really came roaring back beginning the 3rd quarter of this year and continuing into the 4th quarter as well. And just what I received hot off the press just last week or the end of the week before last is the numbers are in, the dust has been settled. And for 2020, the new car and light truck sales, 14.6 million new cars and light trucks. 14.6 million new cars and light trucks. So a significant increase from that 13 to 13.5, whatever that we thought we were going to have to really do. Used car, pre-owned, whatever for 2019. We don't have the 2020 numbers yet, but 2019 pre-owned sold by new car dealers is like 29 million. And sometimes that just doesn't give the get the publicity that it deserves. For this year, 2021, NADA, JD Power, others, whatever, they're saying 16.6 million new cars and light trucks. So we will see what happens with that. But nonetheless, what a great time it is to be a part of the retail automobile industry. I want to get into our next slide. And this has to do with navigating politics, emerging challenges, and continuing attacks. And what I yield today, and what you see on the screen, is not a complete checklist, because I don't know how many steps that would be. But we know that we've had a lot of success with this and working with our agent partners and dealer clients. Just a very simple 10-step checklist that we use to help our stores in person to develop that CMS compliance management system. So Dave has some things to check with and add to that, and I will do so as well at the conclusion of his remarks. Mr. Robertson, Dave, sir.
You know what, I'd like to tell you Happy New Year, and we're off to a great start. And we're off to a start, there's no doubt about that, as they're about to impeach the president, or going to try to. But how does that equate to what we're doing here? And I want to talk a little bit about the political environment that this is spawning. Number one, we're having a change of administrations from a Republican administration to a Democratic administration. And of course, as we all know, then Trump is certainly pro-business. We felt that all the way through what we do. Democratic administration coming in, a little more consumer. Well, actually a lot more, because for the first time since 2010, we have a Democratic Congress and a Democratic White House. So if it was in a normal world, it would be skewed a great deal over. But you know what? These are not normal times. I mean, we've had the assault on the Capitol. Lots of things have happened. And what it has done is it's polarized both parties, both Democrat and Republican. What that means for us is that the Democrats are going to be more Democrats than they probably would have been in a normal environment. Now, let's talk a little bit about how people see us. I mean, we're proud of what we do. We like our customers, we like our jobs. We think we're doing fine. But I can tell you that we're not necessarily loved at the regulatory level. So we've seen that towards the end of last year. There was a dealer in New York that had a general manager and an owner that were doing disparate pricing, and they were dealing with minorities. So the government went up there and fined the dealer $1.5 million. Here's the scary part. We're talking about one dealer in one situation. And the lawyers writing those reports had sentences starting out with, "This process is fatally flawed." So what they're saying is this one dealer somehow has spoiled the whole thing. But what they're telling us is we're biased to start with. Now, they talk about the number of Better Business Bureau complaints. Well, the car industry is way up there. What they forget is if you take the total number of vehicles sold, franchise new, used, independent used, buy here, pay here, people on the street, you're talking about 55 million cars sold in 1 year. But the statistic we can't get is what would that be as a percentage of complaints relative to units out the door. We might be in a little bit different situation. But I can tell you what they hate. And what they hate are aftermarket products. And you're going to see an assault on aftermarket products once this new administration gets in like we've never seen before. And what their argument is that the value received is not commensurate with the price paid. Besides that, some of the products they hate anyway. I can tell you from my work as an expert witness, almost every one of my cases, the one I just finished yesterday, had to do with aftermarket products, a hard A. And what we're seeing is there are abuses at the dealer level where some of these products are too good to be true. And we understand that now business is starting to come back. We're starved for sales. We're starved for cash. We're starved to make our house payment. So let's push a little harder. Let's see what else we can sell. What has the highest margin? But when the government gets involved, and they're going to get involved, They're going to come in saying, number one, I hate it to start with. We think you're cheating the customers to start with. And we know that because we have a few complaints and we hate aftermarket products. So the onus is going to be on us to be proactive in keeping these people out of our store, or if they come in our store, we have a plausible argument that we're doing things the right way. Now, the National Automobile Dealers Association created a manual called Voluntary Protection Products, a model dealership policy. Tell you how far ahead AGWS is on this program. We talked about this well over a year ago. But what they are saying is we want to take a preemptive move on the sale of aftermarket products. And they have a program that has a booklet. And I'll give you an email address before this is over. If you want a booklet, I would recommend you send me an email and I'll send you one. But what they're saying in this booklet is that we have to do things in a certain way to satisfy both what's fair play and hopefully the regulators. The first thing they're saying is that the dealer has to put up a sign that tells the customer that these products are optional, they have value, but they are optional, and you don't have to have them. So the dealer then has to put a sign up in his store. The program has a model sign, and that model sign makes it clear to all consumers. This dealership offers service contracts and other voluntary products that are designed to protect your investment in your vehicle you purchase or lease from us. The purchase of any of these voluntary products is completely optional and not required to purchase or lease the vehicle or obtain warranty coverage, financing on particular terms of any particular type of product offered by this dealership. Personally, I found this sign. I don't think I really want this sign in a showroom. I mean, people coming in there, they're gung-ho, let's put it in somewhere else. I received permission from NADA to put a desk size sign in the F&I office. But we have to tell the customers right up front that they're of value, but they're optional, and they're not contingent on any other part of the deal. So the first thing we're saying then is that you have to tell the customer the truth about aftermarket products. And the truth is that they are optional, and then that you have to follow a good standard. The second part is, and this is the part that's going to come back and haunt us if we don't do it right. We have to do this in a legally compliant way. We have to have training and coordination and document retention. We have to treat this like a business. The the dealer I just finished working on the class action lawsuit had an aftermarket product that gave the customer zero paperwork. That's not going to go well in court. So the point is, have you in place written policies? Have you in place a mechanism to train people to those policies? You have a means to determine if they have an understanding of those policies. You have to have written evidence of a people monitoring, personnel monitoring, that these policies are abided by. We have to have a policy in place about remedial action. What do we do? And the big one that's going to come back and haunt all of us, I worked F&I for a long time. I've been in this business longer than most of you are alive, is do we have a means, if they cancel their product, to give the full refund of all parties to that product back to the customer? So we have to have legal compliance training, coordination, and development. The other thing we're talking about is product selection. In other words, is the product I'm asking this customer to buy of value to that customer relative to the price paid? And I can tell you now, we have a lot of products out there that won't meet that test. So you can either say, you know what, this is a great product, we're making lots of money, it really doesn't have any value, but we're going to sell it because we need to make the money. Well, when you get caught selling that product, all that money is going to go somewhere else. So what we're saying is you have an opportunity now to self-police your program. Take a close look at your products. Which one of these has value to the customer within each customer's unique situation? But some of your gingerbread products, these peripheral products, you might want to go find something that has a little more substance, or at least can be actuarially justified. So product selection is something that you might want to be doing in the first part of this year. The second is pricing. Again, is the price paid commensurate with the value received? When the regulators look at this, they're going to add how much you paid as part of the cost of credit to fund that project or that particular product. So whatever you projected for that customer, this is the value of it. They're going to take into account the retail price of it and how much it costs to fund that product over the term of the installment sale agreement. The next thing they're going to take a look at is how you advertise these products. Do you make it clear to the customer that they are in fact optional? They're going to look at your sales presentation system. How are you presenting these products relative to the sales process? Big issue on preloaded aftermarket products. What is fair on that? Now, I can make an argument in court as to why we would preload a product. If it's going to be a hard ad, which is the ones you most typically preload, well, if I have the product on the car when we're just demonstrating the car to the customer, we can include that value of that particular product in the general presentation of the car. The next thing is, if you preload it and the customer says yes, you don't delay the delivery to have the product installed in the car. But I can tell you there's going to be tight oversight in these particular processes. The boogeyman on a lot of these is product cancellation. I mentioned it earlier. Do we in fact have a system in place that's known to the customer that if they decide on a cancelable product to cancel it, that everybody who took a piece of that pie going in gives their corresponding refund when it's canceled? Do you have a documented cancellation process that shows equity to that consumer? And the last one is customer complaints. I can tell you there's an effort throughout the government right now on processing complaints. Do you have a policy? Do you implement that policy? Do you document the complaints? Now, all of this sounds like a lot of work, but there's plenty of help available, but it all makes common sense. And when the people look at you, I mean the government people, I mean the lawyers, they're going to ask you on all these things that I've just addressed, have you given a good effort to make sure they're done properly and we're doing goodwill to the customer? We can't tell you now, but we're doing a lot of work within the government. I do lobbying work. I've been on ABC 2020 and other stuff for the industry on how to make these things palatable to the regulators and profitable to the dealer. Bob?
Great information, sir. And again, what Dave was alluding to was the NADA Model Dealership Policy for Voluntary Protection Products, authored by NADA's Paul Mitri. Paul, as you may know, is Vice President of Regulatory Affairs, as well as Chief Counsel for Financial Services. And as Dave mentioned, here at the American Guardian Group of Companies, we've been endorsing and presenting that information to our agent partners and dealer clients since this was introduced by NADA in May of 2019. Paul also authored the other program, the Fair Credit Compliance Policy and Program, which has to do with rate administration and charging every customer the same amount above buy rates, and then reducing that for one of 7 reasons, if you need to, that have already been approved by the Department of Justice. So that's a discussion for another day. To stay with Dave's comment about everything is cyclical and it's coming back again. It sounds to me like it's the Obama-Biden administration again, with also what's his name? On steroids. And maybe even Richard Cordray appearing again as the director of the CFPB. To illustrate that point, many times I quote in the classes that we do around the country and at our offices in Warrenville, the Hudson Cook spot delivery newsletter. And this one is from the October 2020 issue. I want to just read two paragraphs that were written by Hudson Cook attorney L. Jean Noonan. Jean Noonan is a co-author of 4 of the chapters of Car Law, the F&I Legal Desk book. She's also part of the CFPB task force, pointed to that last year, that's looking at, as Dave said, the products and services and the things that he mentioned to just see how they can be improved, how they can be made better, and obviously looking at product pricing as well.
One quick point, she's also a worker for many years for the Federal Trade Commission.
And that's a good thing for us. I think it really is. Maybe. 2 paragraphs, however, in her article in October. Here we go. Voluntary protection products, sometimes called ancillary products, include optional products that protect the vehicle, such as extended service plans or dent repair, and products that protect the buyer, specifically related to the dealer, to the vehicle's financing, such as credit insurance, debt cancellation, or guaranteed asset protection, or GAP. Next paragraph. Right on the money, exactly what Dave was saying. Here we go. Most consumer advocates, and if they are being honest, many, if not most, government enforcement lawyers hate these products. Why? They think they are overpriced, which leads them to suspect that dealers must be deceiving customers about VPPs, or else no one would buy them. And that kind of thinking can put a big, fat target on a dealership that fails to take care on how it markets these VPPs, voluntary protection products. Let's go back to our slide that's on the screen. I want to talk about just 2 things before the next slide. In the past 30 or 45 days, and everything is kind of cyclical with this. Go back, if you would. Yeah, stay with that one. Look at number 7. Comply with the IRS cash reporting rule and money laundering statutes. The cash reporting rule has been around since 1984, and at first, currency cash was currency only. Then the expanded definition came in and included 4 other things in 1992. But my calls just recently again was when do I have to report this transaction? What's the numbers, whatever, and things that are pretty basic. People tend to forget. So remember, when we take in more than $10,000 in cash, that's $10,000 and a penny, we have to report that transaction to the IRS within what? 15 days of receiving the cash that takes you over $10,000. I want to give you a quick update again on the penalties for noncompliance with intentional disregard, and these may yet go up again for 2021. So this is what came into place the middle of last year as well. The penalty for intentional disregard for not reporting it is a minimum of $27,200, or the dollar amount that you were required to report but failed to do so, up to a maximum of $111,000. So if you have, let's say, a $52,000 vehicle, get hit for intentional disregard, you're fine. Your penalty is not $27,200. It's not $111,000. It would be the whatever the $52,000 vehicle. So we have to do that within 15 days of receiving the cash that takes us over $10,000. Now, big picture, even worse than that, if we're hit with intentional disregard, that's one thing. But if we talk to the customer about ways to avoid the cash reporter requirements, that's structuring the deal. Structuring is a felony. And now we're looking at $1,111,000 as it relates to structuring, and also potentially jail time up to 5 years or both. And then number 6.
Let me stop you right there for just a second. What's happening in the box is the customer gets into a would you could you situation with the F&I manager. If I want to put $6,000 cash down and a $4,000 money order, would I have to have that form filled out? Do not ever get in a discussion with a customer over how to comply or not comply with that rule. Because I can tell you from real experience, the minute that customer gets busted, he's going to tell you the F&I manager told him how to do it. Do not get into discussions on what the customer needs or does not need to do to satisfy IRS 8300. Bob?
And just a comment on OFAC checks. OFAC's been around since long before the events of 9/11, but after 9/11, subsequent to that, its powers were significantly expanded by President Bush, actually less than 2 weeks after the event of 9/11. So the question coming up most recently is, when do I have to make the phone call and call the OFAC hotline? And answer to that, and there's more to it than this, but if you have an exact match or a number of similarities, go to CAR Law, the chapter on OFAC. We have to call the OFAC hotline number and get their information and recommendations. 800-540-6322. OFAC hotline number, 800-540-6322. Next slide. Big picture of the 5 primary objectives of the Finance and Insurance Department that we spend with dealer groups and our agent partners. Number 1, compliance and ethics and the protection of the dealer and the dealership. Number 2, secure the sale of the vehicle. Number 3, protect the front end gross. Number 4, maximize deal profit, TVG, total vehicle gross. And last but not least, certainly number 5, maintain or enhance your CSI scores as well. We don't have time to do this on today's webinar, but just the other day on a conference call with one of our dealer clients, we were talking about this, and we actually overlaid this with the AFIP information that goes back, I think, Dave, when you first published it, was like 2006, 2007. Then I think it was the 6 deadly sins of F&I, and now for a number of years it's been the 7 deadly sins of F&I. But if you tie AFIP's 7 deadly sins of F&I into this page, examine it, look at it, make sure you don't fall into any one of those traps. It's going to go big for you very positively at accomplishing these five primary objectives. Remember, the 7 deadly sins of F&I, the 7 most common errors that cause dealers to become the targets of bad things: media exposés, class action lawsuits, high dollar regulatory fines. Any comment on the 7 deadlies briefly?
No, except for you keep have to add some.
7's a good number.
Yeah,
7's a good number.
Right now, that's enough.
Next slide. Let's get back to focus. 2021, new year, focus on profit opportunity. Our focus might need changing. So here's what I mean by that. Instead of saying or thinking, we have all these products, and Dave kind of mentioned maybe we need to focus on the value of these products and how maybe regulators would be looking at them, especially now with the change in administrations. But rather than saying, we have all these products, how can I sell them to my customers? There's nothing wrong with that. But I'll tell you, many stores have found most recently, and I say most recently for the past several years, that for them, a new or different way of thinking is very simply this: I have customers. I have customers. Not I have products, I have customers. And then the question is, how can my products help them? How can my products help them? And then for each one of the products, developing an impact benefit statement, an impact benefit questions, tells the customer what the product is, what it does, and what it means to them. And it really alludes and helps us get into a conversational sales presentation. So focus on just that profit opportunity. And instead of saying I have products, how can I sell them? Maybe a better way to look at it is, we have all these customers. How can my products help them? Next slide, please. Focus on profit opportunity. Want to be clear and sharp on top 4 things that we learned about 1.5 years, 2 years ago now, based upon actual NADA focus group data, meaning what customers wanted, the top 4 things. So they didn't write these things out themselves. These were on like a multiple choice type chart or sheet, and they had the opportunity to go 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. And these are the top 4 things that people wanted in the purchase of a new car or light truck. So to be clear and sharp on the top 4 things customers want, based on focus group data. Number 1, a quick and efficient sales and F&I process that is professional and transparent. Professional, let's say a trained individual, someone that's looking at their position not as a job only, but a career opportunity. A true professional as it relates to the retail automobile business and perhaps to the industry of finance and insurance. Transparent, meaning things are clearly seen and easily understood. Number 2, talk with someone, preferably one person, That's an interesting thing that they had as part of that checklist. Talk with someone, preferably one person, one individual, who will help them get the vehicle they want at a price and payment they can afford. Not bouncing around with X number of people at the dealership, or if we're doing it virtually, we're doing it remotely, whatever, not talking with X number of people to help them make that buying decision. But these first two things, quick and efficient, and talk with one person, it was actually 2019 and then 2020, we added to it. JD Power talked about some significant numbers involved in how long it takes to complete a car sale. And the first number was 187 minutes. 187 minutes to sell a new car and complete the F&I process. Well, Dave, I'm not real good at math, but 187 minutes is just north of what? 3 hours. The next number that was part of that 187 minutes was the number 32. And 32 had to do with waiting 32 minutes before they ever get in to see the financial services manager. So what are they doing while they're waiting? They're reading this, they're reading that. If we're working smarter, not harder, maybe they're watching product videos about the products and services that we have that are generic and not unique to the exact product types and names that we sell. So that quick and efficient, and then talk to someone personally. So you have the 187, the 32, and then what they monitored was the actual time spent in the finance and insurance office. That's 41 minutes. Sometimes we're a lot more than that. Sometimes we're less. So the first three numbers, 187, 32, 41 minutes, all part of the 187. Then the final number is, you could guess this, if we got the customer in and out of F&I in 20 minutes or less, the CSI numbers increased tremendously. If they're in and out in 20 minutes or less, more than 20 minutes in F&I, they go down negatively very, very, very quickly. So one, a quick and efficient sales and F&I process, professional and transparent. Talk to one person preferably, help them get the vehicle they want at a price and payment they can afford. We've got two public companies that are doing that right now. I mean, Sonic's been playing with it for, this is probably what, the fourth year with Sonic doing that. Their Echo Park stores, no finance insurance manager. And then also, most recently, Asbury Group. Asbury has eliminated the F&I position per se, and they've done the sales force by having product specialists present the automobile, product specialists present the car. They don't talk to the numbers. Then they turn the prospective buyer to a VOM, a VOM. A VOM stands for Variable Operations Managers. So the Variable Operations Managers, they're hybrid F&I, but also presenting the numbers as it relates to the unit itself. So our public companies are doing a number of different things with that. And I found just this past year, a number of our AGWS group of companies, clients are involved in that now, or are considering that very, very heavily for this year, 2021. Next slide, please. All right, the final two things, to be clear and sharp on the top four things customers want based upon focus and group data: a beneficial experience that expedites the delivery process, not prolongs it. That expedites the delivery process, not prolongs it. Yeah.
I've been in this business since the 1960s, and the amount of paperwork per deal back then was not very much. But as I work these cases as an expert witness, the volume of paper that has to be signed on a typical car deal has grown exponentially to the point where we're talking about a lot of paperwork. Some stores are having F&I practitioners handle the part on helping the customer, and then have somebody that's more in tune with these documents do the paperwork. But all I can tell you is we've made this process so complicated that no matter how you do it, there's just a raft of paperwork that has to be disclosed and executed. Bob?
So what's the number? We're signing 80 plus times now on most deals, new car transactions with financing. And the number four, a finance and insurance professional that adds value to the purchase experience, not aggravation. Now, if you're doing the deal, the customer's coming back into the store, or maybe the entire transaction is at the dealership, you still have the financial services manager, whatever. We've talked about it for years as the TO or referral. Like to think of it as a transfer of trust, maybe a better terminology. But when we do that, there's three things that we found that we want to share with that customer that makes that a seamless transfer of trust. So our financial services manager will accomplish and do three things for you folks. Number one, our financial services manager will expedite that delivery process for you and your family. Number two, he or she will assist you with your financial arrangements. And number three, I almost forgot, folks, be sure and ask Dave to chat with you about the remaining portion of that manufacturer's limited warranty on your new Camry and how it ties in and relates to your driving habits. So folks, Dave will take good care of you. I'll be over getting your car ready for delivery, and I'll see you in probably just about 40 or 45 minutes. So we do those things, we planted the seed, and whatever that number is, if it's 20 minutes, if it's 40 minutes, and for some reason, if you're going to be in there for an hour and 15 minutes and you know it, you tell that to the customer up front. Transparency. Dave?
You know, one of the things you can do, I mean, how much advice will you take from a stranger? Not much. But you'll talk to somebody and tell them your situation forever. Now, we just came off of a bad time. We're still in it. So what's happened to people? What lesson did they learn when they weren't working? They learned that if something breaks on their car, they may not have the cash to get it fixed. And they run the credit card up because they haven't worked for a while. So what are the products that we want to talk to customers about relative to the situation and relative to their world? We live in what we call a pooled risk society. In Europe, somebody buys a car, they'll put $100 away or euros away if they have a failure. In the United States, 10 people will each buy a $10 service contract in case actuarially one of them has a claim. So sometimes we can get people to start talking to you. Tell me a little bit about how did your vehicle ownership experience go during the middle of this pandemic? What came back and caused you concern? What things couldn't you do when you didn't have the money to get the car fixed, whatever? Now, when I decide to talk about ways you can protect yourself if there's ever hard times again, I have taken that product and tied it into their situation. And I want that customer to talk themselves into a sale. And if I can point out to them, you know what, if you had a service contact, that transmission repair probably just cost you $100. But I want to tie the reality to that customer, the recent past, and to the benefits of my product. And rather me droning away about all the advantages on a service contract, I want to prime the customer and say, you're right, that would have done that. Bob?
Very good. We focused on the focus. Let's turn to commit. Commit to a profit opportunity. And to begin with, to pledge to conduct business the right way. RHITT, we'll see in a minute. Many of you are familiar with this. Stand for the 5 principles of how we conduct business at our particular dealership or organization. It's our dealership DNA. It's what separates us from the other guys, the competition. 4 questions on the minds of every customer from a sales standpoint, and we've known this for decades. And many times they will ask you that directly. Many times they've answered this already because of shopping online, and many times they will just hit you right between the eyes with it when you're not necessarily prepared for it. But by the way, we should always be ready for this. So the 4 questions related to sales are the 4 whys. What are they? Why your product? Why your dealership? Why buy now? Maybe most importantly, why buy me? Why buy me as a professional sales consultant? So why your product? Why your dealership? Maybe that's addressed and handled online. Maybe by talking with you by phone or just with your internet. But when they finally get to the store for delivery, if that's how they're doing that, and other things come up, whatever, they see the showroom selection. Why buy now? Why buy me? Because now they're really meeting you in person. Now, maybe as important, if not more important than that, especially if we still have the separate F&I office, separate F&I facility, are the 4 questions that they're thinking with about the F&I process. What I would say we found about this over the years are unlike the 4 sales questions, the 4 F&I questions, they will never ask you these questions directly, verbally. However, inwardly, they're thinking about the answers to these 4 questions based upon what they see, what you've done, what you've shown them, and just your entire attitude about the process. So what are these 4 questions? Number 1, very simply, is, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Number 2, are you credible? Number 3, do you care? Do you really do? Do you care about me, my needs, and situations? And last but certainly not least, are you trying to help me or just trying to sell me something? You're trying to help me, just trying to sell me something. So I would say to you, as good as your products and services are or may be, your optional voluntary protection products, if the customer's answer to any one or more than one of these four questions is no, or I don't know, or I'm not sure, it's probably not going to happen with that individual, and that'll be a negative factor as it relates to your PSPRS, meaning your product sold per retail sale.
Well,
That's,
one thing, Bob, the first two, can I trust you and are you credible, all goes back to knowing your product. A number of years ago, I had a dealer that had a sales force that had double pneumonia. They had low gross and low volume. And he said, Dave, I want you to come in and do a sales meeting and see what's wrong with my people. So I walked in there and I said, let me ask you guys a question. I said, I'm going to give you a few seconds, and who can stand up and give me 5 features of any one of your vehicles compared to a competitor's vehicles? Here's $100. You get the $100. 5 features, any vehicle, any competitor.
how'd that turn out?
At the end of my time, I put it back in my pocket.
There you go.
Now, the sales force is looking at me saying, I'm going to whip him when the company leaves. But the point is, I trust you with knowledge. Knowledge you can understand that's on point, not rote. This is what the brochure said. Tell me again how this product would work best for you. What is the situation where this benefit could help you? Especially with service contracts, especially now when they were strapped for cash and still are strapped for cash. Or tire and wheel on the right kind of a car in the right part of the country. But the point is, I want that customer to tell me what I can help him with on this product. But if I don't have a full range of knowledge about that product, all I can tell the customer is about the 3 things I know about it. And you know what? They may not want to know those 3 things. So being product knowledgeable, enough to the point that you're conversant with it and you can relate those benefits to somebody's situation, probably covers your first 2.
Can I trust you? Are you credible? Do you care? Trying to help me or just trying to sell me something? Next slide. To pledge again to conduct business the right way, dealership value statement. RHITC stands for the 5 principles of how we conduct business in our organization. R stands for respect. H stands for honesty. I stands for integrity. T stands for transparency. The first T, the final T stands for trust. Everything that we do is based upon those 5 principles. Depending upon your store, a lot of times when we help dealers verbalize this and develop it in writing to their sales process, you might think this is a little bit wordy, and that's fine, whatever. We've got hundreds of stores, if not millions, around the country that are using this, because I was first exposed to these 5 things back in the 1990s. So this is not a new deal, but we know it works. However, if you're looking to shorten that process, I would say to you, the 3 for sure that you want to have, you want to verbalize with each and every customer are numbers 2, 3, and 4. Everything that we do, folks, here at Harkins Honda is based upon 3 principles. And folks, those 3 principles are honesty, integrity, and transparency. Honesty, integrity, and transparency when it comes to everything that we do from a sales and financial process. But the bottom line, folks, is here at Harkins Honda, what separates us is really, truly, we care. We really do. We do things a bit differently here at Harkins Honda. You see, we care not just about your business today. Folks, that's very important to us, but really, we care about gaining your respect, earning your repeat and referral business for the future as well. How can they attack that? If you're sincere, respect, honesty, integrity, and having the customer see that in you with the things that we just discussed. Next slide. Here we go. Here's a great workshop that we do in the field that we don't have just time to do justice to it today, but we call it the F&I 4-way stop. The F&I 4-way stop. Again, it ties into the right way. Implement the F&I 4-way stop sales process. Number 1, stop the fake chit chat. We've taught people for years how to do fake chit chat. When I got in the business back in the 70s, went to a 2-week training program. The first 2 days were how to develop rapport. What it basically was fake chit chat. You don't have that kind of time today, and you haven't had for some time. People can see completely through that when you start it. It's not helping your process at all. Stop the fake chit chat. Number two, stop the phony surveys. Do they really have to fill out a survey for them and you to see to know that they need a tire and wheel or dent and ding or windshield protection or a service contract? People know what we're doing. We got to work smarter, not harder. Stop the interrogations. Stop the interrogations. You know, when I got in the business, it was a monologue sales presentation, no dialogue at all. It was a script, probably 25 pages we had to read and learn and memorize. And then we realized that, hey, from a CSI standpoint, that wasn't working real well. Then we got to dialogue, mid to late 80s. What we then did is we took that entire monologue script and they had converted all those sentences and exclamation points to questions. Well, that was good. And every product that we presented, we called it guided discovery in those days, was based upon a 4-step technique: qualify, need awareness, need satisfaction, and trial close. And it works. Qualify, need awareness, need satisfaction, and trial close. But like many other things, we went overboard with the Q&A. So we went overboard so much with the questionings that it became interrogations in the minds of many customers. And then from an interrogation standpoint, it became or becomes combative conversation. And I've noticed that in some of our stores around the country just the last quarter. So stop the phony surveys, stop the interrogations, stop the fake chit chat. And maybe the biggest one is stop the magic menu wait. That customer is sitting out there in the lobby, reading some kind of a crazy magazine, not watching your product videos, not doing this, not doing that. They see us in the finance office by ourselves. There's nobody in there. We're playing with something. And what are we playing? We're playing with a magic menu. The idea is bring the customer in, start the process with them, introduce and complete the menu with the customer, get them involved. Next slide.
1 second. We need to talk a little bit about our market. The people that I sold car to in the 1960s are entirely different than the young men and women we would see in a dealership today. So take a look, take some time. This is called be a student of your profession and learn about the millennials, the people that come into your store. What you're going to find is they like to make decisions. 6 generations ago, 3 generations ago, probably not. Okay, they like to make decisions and they like extra products. They like to buy stuff, but they like to do it at their own pace and in control of their own situation. So study your clientele. Cadillac store is going to have a little different kind of type of clientele than a Dodge truck dealer. But if we're in this business, we have to be knowledgeable about what we do. It takes a little reading. So when I'm sitting in there someday waiting for the next up, maybe I'm doing some reading about millennials or Gen Xers. What do they like? What do they want? What turns them on? So when I get that type of customer, we're on the same wavelength from day one, from second one. Go ahead.
Very good. We've done focus, we've done commit. Let's wrap it up with assess. Assess your profit opportunity, to evaluate the quality, assess, to evaluate the quality of what you were just saying. Your personal presentation that's tailored to that individual. What do our customers see in us? I love this. I learned this a number of years ago. Many of you have seen it. This is from Zig Ziglar. Zig talks about this as the most important question in sales or selling. What do our customers see in us? He takes the word C, S-E-E, and breaks it down, and the first 3 letters stand for these three major points. Sincerity, not just honest, clean, pure, and without deceit, but being the same in actual character as an outward appearance. Enthusiasm, the zeal or fervor about something. Feeling good about who you are, who you work for, the products and services that you represent, and they are the best in the business to really help that customer with their need and situation. And finally, empathy, not putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, but the ability to be a good listener and put yourself in someone else's emotional position. Many people are not unable to do that or don't do that often enough. And as a result of that, there goes the PSPRS. The product sold for retail sale. What do our customers see in us? Sincerity, enthusiasm, and empathy. And then, as we touched on a minute ago, the history and evolution of the F&I presentation. Where are you at? Where are you at? Are you doing a monologue like Dave and I are doing now? Is it all monologue? Or is the customer not involved? Are you doing any kind of a dialogue at all? Maybe you've been trained to do that, but maybe you're saying to yourself, you know, I've got so much dialogue that it really is, if you stop and think about it, Role play it with your husband, your wife, your significant other, the other people in the store, and ask them to really evaluate you and their opinion of how you sound when you're presenting your products and services from a dialogue standpoint. Is it an interrogation? Is it maybe combative conversation? And then lastly, 2.5, 3 years ago, whatever, now especially last year, saw many of our stores really committing themselves to conversational selling. Next slide. Conversational selling. Assess your profit opportunity. Conversational selling takes dialogue to the next level. It takes dialogue to the next level. It's an informal exchange of ideas. The key is to respond to the customer's requests for information. So you plant the seed about your optional voluntary protection products. You tell them what it is, you tell them what it does, you tell them what that means. And with most people, you're going to get some kind of response. But what you're not doing is the long presentation, like on a service contract. How many miles a year do you drive? How long do you plan to keep your new car? Is there a chance those driving habits might change? Did your salesperson happen to discuss the manufacturer's limited warranty on your new vehicle? What is your understanding of that manufacturer's limited warranty? Timeline illustration. 3 more questions after that. That can go on and on. We found out now a better way to avoid that, get the customer involved, is tell them what it is. The first option on your menu is your vehicle service agreement. That's what it is. What it does, it gives you a hedge against inflation on the cost of computers, components, parts, and labor, as it provides you with extended coverage for major and minor repairs and replacements at a very reasonable cost. That's what it does. What it means to you folks is, and here's the key, what that means to you, you personalize it. What that means to you is you won't have to budget your cash for cost of repair bills later. Now you show them various bits of information from J.D. Power and Associates, from a local lender. AAA has all kinds of things out there. Just last year, year before last, 1/3 of American drivers, 64 million drivers, AAA members, can't handle a $600 repair bill. A $600 repair bill without selling something off or going into debt. So again, what do? What it is, what it does, what that means to you. You won't have to budget your cash for costly repair bills later. So dialogue to the next level, informal exchange of ideas, respond to their requests for information. In our stores and on previous segments, last year, if you go to our sheet on the titles of the 17 workshops that we've done several on developing impact benefit statements and impact benefit questions that make customers stop and think. And then from people that refer to themselves as sales psychologists, and I've seen some merit with this, words are powerful, and power words of one and describe can work very, very well for you. Mr. Customer, what one word would best describe how you came out of Walmart, and as you got closer to your automobile, you saw that shopping cart just lodged up against your driver's side door? What one word would best describe how you felt when? And then let the customer talk, and then tie your product to that customer's response. Slide. Again, as we wrap this, and back to John, Dave alluded to this as well with the programs from NADA and what we present to all of our agent partners and dealer clients. This is our American Guardian group of companies seller code of conduct, which serves as a guide to the proper sales practices for people that sell our programs throughout the United States and Canada. What is it? It's a mission statement, and it's a training value statement. What's the mission statement? Very simply, focus on, commit to, and assess your profit opportunity. Every customer knows what they're getting. They agree to buy it. They know why they need it, and they feel good about it when they leave the dealership. You're setting yourself up for repeat and referral business. And finally, our training value statement. And here we go. We endorse and teach. We endorse and teach. So if we're ever challenged, or if I'm writing out a consent order or asked before a regulator, Bob, what do you teach? What do you talk about in your classes? How do you present your products and services? Great question, Ms. Regulator. Here's what we do. We endorse and teach the industry standard and best practices that are recommended by NADA. You tell them who that is. By AFIP, you tell them who AFIP is. And finally, our internal American Guardian Warranty Services group of companies sell our code of conduct for retail sales, which serves as a guide to the proper sales practices for all retail sellers of our products and services. So again, our commitment is to help you maximize business the right way, a manner consistent with good customer relations and sound business practices. John, you want to chat about the webinar schedule? Or David?
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, Dave, touch on AFIP, please. Yep, go ahead.
What I'm going to talk about is right now, I want to focus on voluntary protection products. So I'm going to give everybody my email address for two reasons. I'll send you the material, but we can start a dialogue on how to make this work. So it's write this down, AFIP Dave, D-A-V-E, no dot, just AFIPDave @gmail.com. Send me an email, I'll send you a booklet, and we can start a dialogue on how to make sure that when the government comes to see you, you're kind of glad to see them.
Dave, I have this right? AFIPDave @gmail.com, but it's not caps, right?
You weren't a penmanship major at school, were you?
Just a minor. Very minor. Very minor. What else, David?
That's it.
David, great information. Mr. Friedland, sir?
Yeah, all of our historic webinars previously done are available through our website. So feel free to take a look at agws.com. You should be able to go ahead and navigate to the AGWSU section where you will find some of our previous recorded webinars. Also like to draw your attention to our schedule going forward for 2021. It's on your screen right now. That's also available on our website as well. So February 10th, we will have the next webinar. Next screen. Slide. Also on LinkedIn, if you want to look at the AGWS page, go ahead and like and follow that. AFIP also has one as well. And then I think that's it. Final slide is just contact information. So please feel free to reach out to Dave, AFIPDave @gmail.com, Bob Harkins, or myself for any questions, comments, statements, or rebuttal. Take care, and again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you guys in February.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. Have a great month in the first quarter, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you all.